Almost every manufacturer has an SUV now. There are just some left who don't. And finally now also Maserati has one, the Maserati Levante. Today on Autogefühl, your #1 resource for in-depth car reviews and your #1 community to discuss cars with Thomas. We're going to take a detailed look on the exterior, interior and the driving performance with this V6. We have an exclusive acceleration for you very soon to come now. Of course, everything you need to know about this car. And I can promise you, there are a few very surprising things about this vehicle, and we will find out everything for you in full HD, full screen and full length with the Maserati Levante S Q4. Let's go! Let's go. The front is the real impressive part of the Maserati Levante. You can see it here with those vertical fins and the Maserati trident. However, it is for the ACC sensor only in 2D, which looks really bad. I mean, it's okay from distance, but if you look at it closely, the 3D logo of course looks better, but then they always need time or space. They need to put the sensor somewhere. At the moment, a lot of manufacturers find this solution. At the moment, by the way, the cooling vents for the engine are closed. Very interesting. Then, pretty slim headlights, this new look, very dramatic look for sure. And this is really an eye-catcher. No matter where we went with this vehicle, everyone's like, wow, what's that car? And I mean, that's also one of the reasons why people would possibly buy this vehicle. They want people to look at it. Bi-xenon headlights, by the way, LED, no way in the front, not available right here. So overall, the front really the most impressive part. Also, the hood is going all the way to the front. I like that design-wise. And I think from the front, definitely a pretty unique face. The SQ4, the petrol engine, 88,000 euros entry price in Germany. The diesel would be 70,000, a little bit cheaper. But then again, here also with all of the extras, about 110,000 euros. What other features is a vehicle offering for that price? Let's continue. 5 meters or 16'4" is the total length, full-size SUV, at least for European taste. Then you can see 18 to 21 inch rims, that is, you know, the inch span for the wheels. This one here, 19 inch, as it comes standard with the SQ4 or the S model, you can say that's the petrol engine. Well, it looks still a little bit balloon style. It looks small for such a vehicle, but not necessarily because the vehicle is that huge. In general, the tires are actually quite big. But then again, it's also an advantage because that gives you more comfort in riding. Those air outtakes here, you feel them also, they're quite warm. Obviously, they transport engine heat out there, and of course, they are some, you know, emotional element. Other than that, it's a rather conservative layout here for sure. Not too many sharp lines, just the shoulders that are evolving here. A little bit of a style we've seen also with the Bentley Bentayga. And a 3D logo here finally with a trident right there. That's nice. Other than that, as I said, rather a conservative layout here from the side profile. What do you think about the design so far? Whereas the front is very well distinguishable from other vehicles in this segment, the tail is not really. You know, at least you get LED as taillights, but then again, you know, it looks a little bit plain, not too special. Does it look like a Maserati? I'm not exactly sure. It's not ugly at all, I don't think so, but you know, it's lacking something that is special, like in the front. So this could also be any other brand. It also looks a little bit like the Alfa Romeo Stelvio, the SUV, but it's not on the same platform. It's not the Giorgio platform. This one here, the Maserati Levante, is the same platform as the Quattroporte or the Ghibli from Maserati. And what about the exhaust? They look really real and very impressive from this view, but are they real? Let's take a detailed look. So you have some beautiful chrome tips around it, but the rear exhaust you could see on the inside. So this is again fake. It's a trend that is all over the motoring industry. And another specialty is that the inside of those pipes here, this one has a special valve in it, and you will hear it in action when we drive the car. It's pretty interesting to take a detailed look at it. So here we go. Wow, that's a nice engine design. V6, 3 liter displacement, 430 horsepower. In the US there's also a 350 horsepower variant available, so a little bit like an entry version. This one here, 5.2 seconds to 100 kilometers an hour or 62 miles an hour. And then in Europe there would be also the 3 liter V6 diesel with 275 horsepower. We know that from the Ghibli, 6.9 seconds. And here again, another 3D Trident logo. So I really like this engine layout. Let's start with the key, and wow, what a beautiful piece. This is great design, you know, with metal and, well, it's placing in the 3D Trident logo, and actually is really heavy. And that is one of the strategies, well, metal is used, but it's also one of the strategies to make it more premium alike. So that's really well done. I mean, it's not the best when you have it in the bag or so, when it's heavy, but just feels good in the hand. But you can also use the keyless entry. Then you can see this vehicle is like a coupe all over the place, front and rear doors with the separate windows. And you can also see those are the special insulating windows with those 2 layers. Pretty interesting. Inside of the doors, carbon fiber is being used and metal, really long door handles here. Makes good impressions. Those ones here we know, I think, from the Mercedes parts bin or from the Mercedes suppliers. Look pretty much alike. Not too much space on the inside of the doors. Harman Kardon sound system, 14 speakers. There's also a 17 speakers, Bowers & Wilkins available. Memory seat function for driver and husband or wife. It's a good function for sure. Then the main interior, all black here, but there are different styles available. The steering wheel, you see, is very thick. You can hardly grab around it, and also pretty thick metal shifting pedals here. So they're really massive, and you see they are connected to the steering column, not to the steering wheel. So they remain like they are. It's a little bit strange when driving. I've preferred when they are right there, but here behind the steering wheel you can see there are controls, for example, for switching radio channels and volume on each side of the steering wheel. Then the seats. They do not offer any seat setup that does not contain seats of animal origin. They either have the full animal skin layout, or there's also an extra with silk on the inside, but even silk is of animal origin. Just to Google that up, pretty disgusting too. So really looking back to the past, they do not offer any future materials here, sadly. Then let's get inside, and you have the high seating position, command drive, that's for sure. Also with the air suspension you can put it even a little bit higher. The overview is limited, front is really bulky, and also to the sides the design from the exterior reduces your visibility. The seats itself, they feel pretty stiff actually, so it's not the most comfortable seating position. Then you can also adjust it electronically to all different ways. Also lumbar support is available right there in an electronic way. So that's overall pretty okay. The steering wheel you can also adjust in all 4 directions, like this, also with an electric function. So that's actually pretty handy. I'm 1,86 m or 6'1", and that leaves a lot of headroom right there. That's no problem. So in the front, no problems as for the room or for the space that is available here for the front passengers. You can also be very tall, and they use a nice suede here on the ceiling. Also here the sun covers. That's really soft and nice. I would have wished something from that more on the interior, on the seats. That would have been really, really great, because that feels very nice. And also that it's in a bright color that enlightens the whole interior. So, cockpit overview. You see they do not have a special design language here or a special theme. A lot of different elements are assorted. Nice with the analog trident clock. That's a great detail. There are also some air vents on the top part here, which you can control separately. I'm not sure what's the reason for that. There's a new touchscreen here available, which, yeah, it is Fiat. It's the Fiat Corporation, and the infotainment screen always looks the very same, even if you drive a Fiat 500. Then you got this cover here on the normal instruments. Zoom more to the instrument itself. Steering wheel, talked a lot about. Nice Levante logo right there. This is really, you can feel that. The climate unit is still separate. I like that you do not have to do it with the infotainment screen. Zoom more details to that one, 8.4 inch. Also the strength of the vents, you can still control it manually. That's old school, but I prefer this old school in this case. Then you have some interesting mechanisms for the folding covers here. You have to find out about how they really work first with the carbon fiber. There's one USB port in the front, then also beverage holders right there. Really interesting, strange mechanisms they found here, but good carbon fiber. 2 beverage holders right there. Then this automatic shifting stick. It's sometimes a little bit complicated to really find the right, like, rear, D, back again. It's a little bit, it's not really that you always find the right gear you want to have. Then driving mode selectors are here. We'll explain you everything about that when we drive the car. And 2 controls here for the infotainment screen. You can use the touchscreen or this ring, and then the thanget ring above that is for the volume. Instruments, a digital screen, we know that from the Ghibli, for example, and left side speed, right side RPMs, and I really like the arrows. The arrows look pretty special. And on the inside screen, a digital one, you can also have, for example, tire pressure, and also the driving modes, also ACC information, and the all-wheel drive distribution, for example, too, consumption and stuff. We'll talk more about the all-wheel drive distribution when we drive the car. This will be very interesting. Infotainment screen, as I said earlier, you can use this control ring with a nice clicking sound too. Should be the same supplier Audi is also using. But you can also use a touchscreen, so we have both possibilities. The screen here, you can also use it smartphone-like, so it's capacitive. There we go, and I mean, it works pretty well. Also a good overview. Doesn't look too like space style, like not super future style, but I think it offers a good overview, and it's also pretty clear where to find, for example, heated and ventilated seats right there, or use the radio and stuff. Phone can be connected via Bluetooth. Just go to the phone right there, and this one in the middle would be then the main menu where you have this app view right there. You also have an app manager. Basically, I'm not sure what apps you should add there. But overall, I think you'll be pretty fine with this infotainment system. It does the job, has good overview, and then it's also maybe not too bad that you have the same style also in other Fiat Corporation vehicles. You do have a surprisingly big glove box for such a vehicle. You can cool it, and you also have 2 more USB devices right there. And here with the armrest, they could have made that maybe aligned here. I think for over 100,000 euros you can expect that to be a straight curve. And also when you open it, you see, that's not supposed to work like that. You know, at Mercedes it also opens both sides at the same time. Then 12-volt power supply in there, and for really tall bottles, and again here a cooling function also to keep your drinks really cool. This is nice. So what about the rear compartments? Also interesting that the windows are also in this coupe style, so they do not have any frames around. And this is probably the biggest disappointment. I mean, there's hardly any knee room left if there's a tall driver. I'm hitting knees on the seat. Maybe I could go a little bit more on the front with the seat. Yeah, when there is a small driver, then it works. But overall, really bad package this car is offering. Just headroom wise, that's okay. So even if you're maybe 190 meters or 6'2", that is still all right. Also, the seating area is quite short, so it's not really comfortable seating position in the rear. What is good, however, that you can adjust the angle. So there's a lever, and then there's a 2/3, 1/3 split, so you can sit more upright, or you can lean more back. That's good. And the same mechanism is also used to flip the seats. If you just use the lever and then flip the seat completely, there we go. And then you also have an even loading space to the trunk area. We'll soon take a look from that. Behind you have, by the way, top tethers for child seats on all 3 of the seats, and ISOFIX anchors at the outer seats. And beverage holders right there. And then there's also a ski hatch available, so you can reach through the middle. So that's also possible. So overall, already from here, you will see it soon in the trunk. I mean, it doesn't have a good package, but yet again, it's still the most versatile Maserati yet. And another nice feature for the rear passengers here, 2 more USB charging ports. So the hatch, and you can also see the rear view camera right there. By the way, it failed one time also and was just a blue screen on the touchscreen. Then, there we go. I mean, definitely most versatile Maserati ever, with a good access to the trunk area. It's quite shallow, so it's not, you see here, it's not really big height in the trunk. That's limiting. I'm not even sure why they're even selling this cover here. I mean, it's an official Maserati cover. It's just, you know, some, I'm not sure, it's like this foam, plastic foam. It feels like, you know, you use it 1 week and then you throw it away or whatever. Other than that, the normal cover is that one here. Below that we have some, you know, tire kit stuff, and let's see if we can even put that one here up. Then some more repairing kit, whatever, pretty bulky. Yeah, let's fit that one back again. So what is nicely done is here, you know, warning triangle and stuff, first aid kit, and, you know, ice scraper. That one is hidden here. It's a pretty clean solution, I like that. And you can flip all of the seats. You can see this one is still here, the 2/3, 1/3 split, so you can also load through longer things. There you can also see the ski hatch. And what about child safety then? If you close this has to be done here, by the way. There's no button up there, so the button is here. A little strange, but I mean, why not? It's just not that we are not used to it, and you have to wait 5 seconds and it comes down, and yeah, that's, I think it's quite okay, so we can live with that. And also, you can also, when you put the close key with the lock, then the hatch closes and locks the car automatically if you want to leave the car, so it's also well done. By the way, here again, I didn't mention that here, the 3D Maserati logo. That's also a nice emotional detail. So the driving part, and for first acceleration we go to sport mode. Oh, nice sound there. I wasn't even hitting the pedal seriously. Oh, that's interesting. About 4,000 RPMs. Obviously the exhaust valves opens. Let's try that again. So, and this time I'll hammer it. So we go from 70 to, let's say, 100 or something like that. Let's go. Wait, we have to wait. Safety reasons. No. That's 110. That sounds pretty sporty, doesn't it? Also, I mean, just something above 5 seconds, as you remember, was the acceleration figure to 100 kilometers or 62 miles an hour. And of course that's really impressive for such a heavy car. In general, the driving feeling, well, as I said earlier, the overview is definitely not the best. It's very limited to the rear, to the sides of the rear. Also the front is very bulky, so there's really not a good overview at all. So there's an AMG GT coming now. Some greetings, sound greetings. Yeah, with the shifting pads here, with really, really huge, you can also shift down manually to get it some more boost. And probably that sound is also one of the main reasons to go for the car. This is the one thing where it does have a differentiation. In general, I mean, it wasn't too loud here. We'll soon have another Autobahn part where we drive a little bit faster too. But first sound insulation check is actually quite good, so I don't have to raise my voice too much. You can just raise the voice of the car. There's also another sport mode available where you can say sport suspension mode on, and then it is a little bit stiffer, I do feel that. However, the reaction from the steering wheel is strange. Here in this area, do you see that? It's almost dead. Nothing is happening. And in the normal suspension mode, the car does show some rolling. In the sport suspension mode, it's rather limited. So you will also get stuck in traffic. Then you usually go back to the normal suspension mode. It's a little bit, you know, a little bit more comfortable. Adaptive air suspension comes from standard here with this car. And that means if you want to show off here in the city, for example, you could also say, oh, I go to the off-road mode now. And now our car is racing. Not sure if you see that on camera. It has gone, you know, on the one axle and the other axle. Now we're a little bit higher. You do lose comfort, by the way, because, you know, the suspension way is a little bit limited then. You think, oh, wait, the car is higher, then you have more suspension weight. But no, actually you lose, because the normal setup from the suspension would go up and down. And then with the off-road part, you just have more weight down, but less weight up. And so overall you do lose comfort. And of course it feels a little bit funny when I'm here now in the off-road mode, because we're actually even higher. And I mean, the car is massive and already feels that it would be driving really high above the road. And in this off-road mode, it's you know, it's even more emphasized. However, if you drive a little bit faster, the car will automatically drop down just a little bit again. You also feel that the suspension is a little bit stiffer now, by the way, in the off-road mode. So I'll go to the normal mode again. The car is going down. It's a really funny feature, and definitely suitable for off-road driving if you have some gravel road you want to face, just to protect the car that you don't want to touch anything at the ground. So good to have that for sure. If you have an adaptive air suspension, it's also no problem to implement that feature then. So we also have blind spot monitor. Let's see that someone is overtaking us. Then there should be the triangle in the side mirror flashing up. And when I hit the turning indicator, let's see what happens then. So there it is. And you see when I hit the turning indicator, then the triangle is flashing. However, this one is a system, there it is, it flashes quite late. It is something between, you know, we have, for example, if you say like Volkswagen Tiguan or an Audi Q7, in the Volkswagen AG, all the vehicles, they have reaction times that are pretty early. Also Mercedes, for example, really early before the car is appearing somewhere. At Peugeot with the 3008, we had it that it only flashes when the car is basically directly next to you, which doesn't make too much sense. Here, it's really just flashing when the car is directly in your blind spot. That is one approach. I, however, think it's still better when you already know when a car is approaching, because sometimes maybe the car is that fast that at the time you really want to switch the lane, it's already then really in the blind spot. So when you're in a normal driving mode here, you see, and here, you can drive this car very comfortably. The suspension is not a really wobbling, flying on clouds air suspension. It has some kind of stiff, sporty character. I'm not sure if that really makes sense. Maybe they could have just done the normal riding mode a little bit softer, and then, you know, if you want it stiffer at some point, then go to the sport mode, for example. That could have been something. There's also an ICE mode available. It says increased control and efficiency, is not internal combustion engine. Well, we got that one, but it doesn't mean that it is this mode. And when I hit the throttle, then the throttle input is reduced. So that's for, you know, situations where it's really slippery on the road. But you can also just play with the normal drive mode. And you got the all-wheel drive here, standard all-wheel drive, permanent all-wheel drive, and that gives you the acceleration over all four wheels anyway. So I'm not sure if you want to use that ICE mode very often. It was initially invented to serve the rear-wheel driven Maserati models, that you can reduce the wheel spin then in winter times, for example. Then we also got the adaptive cruise control, setting it right there. Nice clicking sound here also at the steering wheel from that. Let's see, there's a red traffic light now. The speed should be reduced. Yeah, there we go. Then it's turned to green. Speed should be increased. There we go as well. I can also set the distance to the car in front of me, or as soon as I hit the throttle, I can also override it. If you, maybe you heard that on camera also, if you leave the throttle, you accelerate, and then in the moment you release the pressure, then there's more roaring coming from the exhaust. Pretty interesting for sure. The steering itself, I said earlier, is a little bit loose. So especially in this area, nothing happening. When you want to park the car in and out, sometimes you have to like roll and turn and turn. That can be a little bit exhausting. It's not that it would be very heavy, but it feels unnatural, and it doesn't give you a really sporty feeling of the car. So overall, it's really not the sportiest SUV, that's for sure. Maserati wants to be sporty, yes. I'm not exactly sure if they achieved that with that vehicle. Acceleration wise, yeah, of course, put a big engine in there, 430 horsepower, that's it. Yeah, and good sound and stuff, but the overall driving characteristics, not really as sporty as I would have imagined. And I think the steering is one of the main reasons for that, because it doesn't give you a good feeling of the car. Also, that very thick steering wheel, you cannot properly grab around it almost, even if you have big hands. There's Tiggo coming now, and again, blind spot monitor you can see, just to check. So now we'll give you another acceleration. Let's go to sport mode again. Then you also see the car is doing a downshift itself. Other than that, you can always use the shifting pedals right there. They remain like they are, you see it here. They don't move with the steering wheel. It can be a little bit bulky sometimes. So, what about 80 to 100? Let me put the big speed in the middle, so you can also check that out. Where we go? Yeah, there we go. Okay. Yeah, the sound is definitely amazing. They managed it very well, and you wouldn't miss a V8. This V6 gives you enough sound, especially here in the third. Let's see if I can use it again, going from fourth to third gear. Yeah, so that's surely fun in a classic big combustion engine. And that happens rather in sport mode, of course, because then the sound is also turned up. Also, the clicking sound from the big shifting pedals, also fun to use for sure, even if they're pretty thick. Yeah, that's nice, right? Okay, so I mean, even if you love electric vehicles and stuff, then this is all still quite nice as a car enthusiast. Then setting cruise control again, 104. Let's hear all the wind noises again. There's something from the far left there. but it's not too loud actually. But definitely, if you compare it to its competitors from the premium segment, we have had vehicles that are way more silent, definitely. Then again, here also in corners at higher speeds, I think the steering characteristics is maybe the one point that is most to be criticized in the driving experience. Because here again, there's no feeling at all. It's like totally artificial. And so overall the car feels somewhat bulky and almost clumsy in driving, I have to say that. So, you know, I'm always honest with you, and we do have a lot of comparisons also from vehicles with equal prices. All the big SUVs, which are about 5 meters, we've driven them all, so we can really compare that. So, and we're still approaching also the last bit where we really can hammer the throttle, and then we can see more of the total acceleration, and there the V6 can really play out everything. It's you know, everything that is possible. So here again, some left and right in normal suspension mode. Car's leaning a bit left to the right, but it's not really fun to do that. Then sport suspension mode. Yeah, then you get a stiffer reaction, but it feels very strange because in that when you have that mode mounted, then the steering wheel does even less fit to the rest of the vehicle. So, do you know what I mean? The steering wheel is loose itself, but the suspension is too, somewhat. And when you then put the suspension to an even stiffer mode, then the steering wheel feels totally offset from the suspension. Really strange. I have somehow the impression that there were no test rides at all with this vehicle, because I mean, any serious test riding engineer would have driven it and what's that? Really strange. So, I don't want to have the sport suspension, that's really strange, but sport mode. Maybe also hear that exhaust difference. Silence. Louder. So, and then let's see that we can get safely onto the motorway again, and then have some good acceleration for you guys. Then you can check the speedometer. Make it. You're watching full screen, right? So look at the speedometer. It's really clear way for us. It's good. And let's go. So that's 200. Managed that very well, of course. Getting now pretty loud in here, but for such a speed that's also okay. Hardly anyone will ever drive so fast. So what about the co-driver? Good acceleration, okay. Yeah, Michelle is of course thinking about the Nissan GT-R and says, oh, whatever. So if you're interested in this speed acceleration, check out the GT-R acceleration then in our review there. So what you felt is because the acceleration comes with from the all-wheel drive, it's also somewhat harmonic because you're not pushed from the rear, not pulled from the front, but both is happening at the very same time. And therefore it's also not too stressing for the body. Sound-wise, of course, also quite nice. And let's see, tire pressure information, because there's also this information mode where you have the axles, and you see that in the normal mode, or when I'm just letting a car roll, throttle a little bit, it's 100% from the rear axle. You can even better see that now, probably in a display when I'm in a tunnel. But as soon as I apply the throttle a little bit harder, then more power comes to the front wheels. For example, when I press like this, you know, can't see my foot, we don't have a foot camera mounted there. Then now, for example, it's 75% rear, 25% in the front. So 2/3, 1/3, something like that. And what we would have seen, I mean, I want to mount the speedometer when we had the acceleration, but you know, I can drop down a little bit in speed and then show you that. So when I press the throttle a little bit harder, then you see that it goes more like in a direction of 50-50 out to the front. See, now it's 60 here, so I can drop down even, so like this. Yeah, about 35% now, just for that short throttle boost, 35% then. So you can see it's always changing with the torque distribution. The more you hammer the throttle, the more goes out to the front, or also would be in very slippery situations. Of course, today, dry road, good temperature, 17 degrees, good testing environment in general, but still then, you know, even in the dry situations, torque is distributed to give you a more harmonic, more pleasant driving feeling. So I think we can say so far, performance from the engine is out of question. Consumption-wise, of course, yeah, I mean, if you do some acceleration rides like this here now, then it will go even higher. That's for sure. Let's see, 18 liters, okay. But it's actually also possible. So we had some, for example, here driven 500 kilometers, had about 14 liters average. So now it's getting really interesting, because this vehicle has a turning circle like a tank, and that is really, really bad. And then you have to turn the steering wheel that much. Wow. I think I didn't have a vehicle yet that I had to stop in the middle of the intersection, go backwards, and then, wow. So that's not really handy. I'm sorry, I mean, this tank comparison is actually quite bad. You know how I meant that, but if you think about it, you know, a tank itself has no turning circle because it can turn on standstill because of the chains, of course. Let's rather say has a turning circle like a big truck. That's good. Yeah, military geeks immediately, hey, don't blame the tank. It's better to turn. So, yeah, back to the fuel consumption. So if you drive it calmly, some 13 liters on 100 kilometers, you can score. But of course, I mean, this is not a fuel-saving vehicle at all, not at all. So let's go back to this all-wheel drive mode again, and so all-wheel drive display, and show you when we really have a harder acceleration, what's happening then. So at the moment, car's rolling, 100% rear. As soon as we get out of the tunnel, we can push the throttle. And we're going, yeah, from 90, something like 90, and a little bit, it's not really bright, it's this display, right? I think we have to find something where we can put it a little bit brighter. But anyways, let's push the throttle right now. I won't control, there it is. It was in tunnel mode. So 90 to whatever, let's see. That's interesting. In this case, it remained at 80 to 20. That's really interesting. Maybe it's a difference when you start from standstill, or if you already at the very high speed. Because if you think about when you're at higher speeds and the vehicle is getting pushed backwards, you also got more grip at the rear, just by physics. Therefore, also rear-wheel driven cars can have more horsepower than front-wheel driven cars, because sometimes the front axle just lifts when acceleration is happening, and then the wheels just start spinning. So, surprising finding is here that obviously the all-wheel drive is not distributing too much to the front, at least when you're already at higher speeds. Maybe it rather happens when you have some more spontaneous reactions, for example. So then let's go back to the digital speedometer to give you one last acceleration for today. This time a little bit shifting gear. Let's go back to the third gear. even more induce some sound happenings when you are with the manual pedals here. Blop, blop, blop. So this one for sure is something you can enjoy with a sporty ride. Go back to the normal modes now. Relax, let it roll. So I hope you like the performance part, the acceleration and stuff. But overall from the driving part, I can say it's not a vehicle that really convinced me in driving. And now our conclusion for today, Maserati Levante. So definitely from the exterior, especially in the front, very impressive. Side profile and the rear is rather neutral, rather normal. Definitely people look at this vehicle, and that is maybe one of the main reasons to buy it. The interior doesn't have a special styling. The processing quality is okay, but not really special. You have hardly any space, neither in the trunk nor on the rear seats. So overall, the interior is not, you know, a real game changer. And also they are lacking on sustainable seating surfaces. Driving-wise, this is probably the thing that this car is lacking most. It is supposed to be sporty. Yes, it has great performance engine-wise and also nice sporty sound. But the driving handling, especially from the steering, is rather disappointing. And overall you ask yourself, can this car justify this very price? And I can just say no, this vehicle is really way overpriced. But of course this is actually the very reason why people buy this car, also because it is expensive. Because in the premium manufacturer segment you get better cars for less money. This one here you buy when you want to have a worse car but want to spend more money to be more unique. That's our honest assessment. You know, we always give you the pros and the contras of every vehicle we review. That is so far about the Maserati Levante. Of course, I'm looking forward to your feedback on this very vehicle. Thank you very much for watching and see you next time.